Hi there, it's Carol with Carol B Crafts. Today we'll be doing project number 1 in my Rooted in Nature card class. You can get the details on how you can participate and get your own class kit on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. The kit will be available through July 31st, 2018, and you can get it absolutely free with a qualifying purchase using the host code on that website, www.carolbcrafts.com. So this is using the You Are Wonderful stamp and the little leaf trinkets, and this is a nice little card for anyone. Thank you for all you do is what it says on the inside. In addition to the card kit that you'll receive, you'll need your snail adhesive, the Grapefruit Grove ink pad, glue dots, mini dimensionals. It's good to have your little piercing tool, scissors, and a bone folder. You'll also need a stamp positioning tool. I'm going to be using the new Stamparatus, which if you haven't gotten that yet, you definitely want to purchase one. But if you have a Stamp-O-Majig or another stamping positioner, you can use that as well. So let me clear this all away and we'll get started. So let's take a look at what we have in our kit. This is going to be a relatively easy card. I have a card base here, thick whisper white card base. We'll find our groove and fold away from us. Crease that fold. Now that's ready for some of our cardstock. In our envelope we have 2 pieces of the copper trim, and they're 6 inches each. And then inside here we have the little trinkets. These are the copper, and they also have they come in copper and silver, the leaves trinkets. We have a piece of Nature's Poem DSP, and that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to go on top of a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then we have a piece of the DSP, that's the back of it. It is 2 by 4, and it's scored down from corner to corner. For the inside sentiment, we have another piece of Cajun Craze, 3 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then I give you 2 pieces for the sentiment, 3 1/4 by 4, in case you need to have an extra. On the front, in our focal point, which is going to be You Are Wonderful, we're going to have this is a Cajun Craze oval. It's the 3rd largest oval in the layering ovals framelits. And then we have a piece of Whisper White that is the 2nd largest oval in the Stitched Shapes framelits. And I give you 2 of those too, so you have extra. So that's what we have to work with. So what we'll do is we'll start with our stamping. So we'll get our pieces of Whisper White, put some of this other stuff away for now till later. The ink that we'll use is the Grapefruit Grove. Now you will need a stamp positioner of some type because these are pre-cut. Now if you have the Stitch Shapes framelits and you want to stamp first on another piece of Whisper White and cut it out, that might be easier for you, but because I'm sending you a kit, I have to pre-cut these, which means you'll have to use either a Stamp-O-Majig or a Stamparatus, and I'll be using the Stamparatus. So if you haven't used the Stamparatus yet, it is a fantastic stamping tool, and I am totally enjoying it. So it comes with these long metal magnets, but I am not too fond of them. They love to get close together and they love to bang together, so I purchased some of these round magnets. They're not nearly as they're strong enough, but they're not nearly as strong as the others, so that you can get them together, but they're not as easy, they don't break as easily. So and I got these off of eBay. They're Tonic Studios. Just search Tonic Studios magnets and you should be able to find them. So how does this work? If we have something pre-cut and we want to stamp it, how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing that you're going to want to do is get a sheet of the clear sheets that we sell, and I'm not sure what the name of them is. I'll put them on the screen. So I have a 4x6 piece of the plastic sheeting, and it is in the corner, and I've put down my magnets to hold it in place. So now I'm going to stamp my image onto the plastic, kind of like we do the Stamp-A-Majig. So let me get my image. Here's my image, You Are Wonderful. And I'm just going to lay it down here at the edge of the plastic sheeting. And then I'll bring my flap over, my plastic flap. And then I'll get my ink out. I like to put a stamp case underneath when I'm inking up, because I want to be able to have something underneath there. Okay, I'm going to try that again. This time I'm going to put the stamp the right way, in the right direction. I hope you don't do that, but if you do, you'll know you're not alone. Okay, so now I'm going to ink up my stamp again, and we're going to go for this image here. Okay, now that we have our image stamped, I'm going to use a piece of scratch paper. It can be any kind of scratch paper, and I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back here. Well, a lot of adhesive, probably more than I need to. And this is going to help me to slide this under here and find where I like where it looks. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm just going to put a couple of my magnets there. Then I'm going to remove these magnets, making sure I don't disturb this at all, and put them in place there. Now I probably should go ahead and just make sure, maybe put a couple of these on the actual die cut, just to make sure that, let me make sure that it's not going to interfere. Need to bring this up a little bit. That looks good. Now I can ink my stamp up. Okay, we'll see what we have. I may have to do it twice, I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah, I will. That L doesn't have a lot of on it, so I'll get that L in the wonderful. And it's still got a little bit. That's what's great about the Stamp-A-Majig, is you can come in and you can fill in. There, I think that's going to be good enough. Alright, so that's our You Are Wonderful. Next we're going to do the inside sentiment, and we're going to do to thank you for all you do, but we're going to mask off the to. So we'll go ahead and put our plastic sheet in place first, because we're going to use it kind of like a Stamp-A-Majig, and put our magnets in place to hold our sheet down in the corner there. And make sure I have it in the right direction to find the edge of my plastic and pick up the stamp. Okay, then I'll make my first impression with my ink. We'll stamp it up here. We're going to do the whole thing at first, and then we'll mask it off. Okay, so now I'm going to slide this underneath, and it's going to be portrait because the card is a portrait card. So I'm going to ignore the to and center the thank you for all you do. And when I have it where I think I like it and it looks even, I'll put my magnets in place. Then I'm going to remove these magnets and put them kind of in the corner there where they won't be in the way. Now I'm going to mask my to. First I'm going to clean it up a little bit here. I'm just going to clean the whole thing off because I don't want any residue left of the to when I go to stamp. And I'm going to take a piece of scratch paper and just make sure that's not going to stamp at all when I unmask it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my piece of the magic Scotch tape and I'm going to cover up the to. So now all it will say is thank you for all you do, and ink it up lightly. I don't want to get too heavy with the ink. Oops, and I have to remove the tape or it won't work, right? Okay, hopefully that's going to work. So we'll go down with this. Thank you for all you do. Get that O off of there. Okay, so now we have our inside sentiment. I'll clean my stamp off. Okay, we're going to bring everything in that we have. We have our images that we stamped and our pieces of cardstock, our ribbon, our little trinkets. So I guess the first thing we can do is put this on the inside panel for our sentiment. This is left over from the mini glue dots that we sell. And go ahead and make sure it's opening and go ahead and put it on the inside. Okay, that looks good. Now we're ready to finish the outside. Let's go ahead and put You Are Wonderful on top of our Cajun Craze oval, and I'm going to pull this off gently because I don't want it to tear. I really used way too much adhesive on this. Overkill. It was only supposed to be a temporary stick, not a permanent stick, but I just out of habit, I really laid it on thick. Okay, we have our You Are Wonderful. And that's going to go on the front of our card, but we need to do something with this. You see the score here? Where there's like a little valley. You're going to fold that just like you do when you do your envelopes, I mean your cards, not your envelopes. Okay, so now we have a nice point. Where is our point? Here it is. We want to find a point at the top, so it's kind of like a little sail, boat sail. That's going to go here. So the little point is going to go in the top left corner, even with it, and then flush up against the paper, and that's how it's going to go. So we're going to put some adhesive here on the back, along the back, close to the edge, not all the way to the end. And we'll just stick that in there like we're putting it in an envelope. When it's in the crease, we will put it down. Now we need to put some on this side. I'll put some here on the center, and maybe a little this way. We don't want to get this edge flat down. We want it to have a little bit of a dimension so that it looks, you can tell that it's a separate piece of paper. I'm even going to try to pull it up a little bit so it has that look there. Now before we put our paper on our panel, we're going to put our 2 pieces of copper trim. And the first piece is going to go, the bottom of the trim is going to go right on top of this point here, just like that. And then the next piece is going to go above it, sort of like this, with about 1/8 of an inch in between. So we know that our ribbon's going to be about right here, so we'll put some snail in the back, about 1 inch high and 1 inch wide. Whoops. Maybe longer if you feel like you need it. So again, we're going to find that point and put our ribbon, our trim, right across the top, and we'll pull it a little tight, but not so tight that it stretches. Push it in that adhesive in the back. Make sure it looks level. If it doesn't, you can adjust it. That looks level enough. So now we'll do the other piece of trim, and like I said, about 1/8 of an inch in between. Doesn't have to be exact. Be a little more, a little less, as long as it's even on both sides. Okay, that looks good. And now we're ready to put it on our panel. I'll put a little adhesive on top of our ribbon so that it helps to stay down. And this is going to go right here on top. There's only 1/16 of an inch around the edges. Now our You Are Wonderful is going to go right about here, and we're going to put it on with some, you can use mini glue dots or regular glue dots. I like the mini glue dots because they're not quite as high as the regular glue dots. They give some dimension but not as much. And we want to place it so that it's not going to be on the ribbon itself. So I'm going to put some up at the top here, maybe a few, and then some along here. Looks like I got some hitchhikers there from the edge. I'll have to get rid of those. Okay, so I have 4 at the top and 4 at the bottom. I'll take these little in the plastic off, and this is going to go about 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the DSP, and I think probably we should go ahead and put this on the front of our card first. That would be easier. Okay, now we can put our little You Are Wonderful on. Again, 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the DSP and centered over our ribbon. Right, now we're ready to put our little trinkets, and I just think these are darling little trinkets. They're going to go kind of like that. We're going to put this on with glue dots. Let me find my glue dots. And glue dots are pretty strong. They will hold them. I'm putting one here underneath this stem, and then a couple more on the sides for good measure, and then I'm going to tuck it underneath here. Just like that. I'm going to do the same with this one. One under the stem, and then a couple along the sides of that one. And did I get that? Yeah, I did. Okay, and then it's going to go kind of here. You may have to lift it up to get it in place. And then the last thing we have to do, which is probably in the envelope and I forgot about it, there's a little should be a little pearl inside. It is a Grapefruit Grove pearl from the Share What You Love pearls, the little artisan pearls. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop that up, and it's going to go right here, kind of, well, you can put it wherever you like. I think it looks good maybe right here. Whoops, it went on my finger. That's not where I want it. Right here, just above the U. You are wonderful. Boom. All right, that's card number 1 in our Rooted in Nature card class. I hope that you will join us. Go to my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, and find out how you can get the kit to make these as a gift from me to you for a purchase, qualifying purchase at Stampin' Up using my current host code. So thanks for watching, and check out my website. Thanks. Bye now.